everyone, welcome back to the Gypsy Caravan. I'm Shan. How you doing? For today's look, I was inspired by Kim Kardashian. Generally, when I was working on Counter Stall, her name came up quite a bit for inspiration when it came to makeup, and rightfully so. She has an amazing makeup artist who is Mario. So a lot of the times girls would ask, can you do my makeup like Kim Kardashian? And because her makeup she came up as inspiration quite a bit for reference pictures and things for Counter, I decided to actually do a makeup tutorial kind of loosely based on her makeup. So I did her skin routine, or her base routine, the way that Mario would normally do it, which requires a lot of like underpainting and heavy contour. They were the endorsers of, you know, the major contour back in like 2010 to like 2016. But for her eye makeup, I was really, I still am incredibly in love with the Met Gala look that she did in 2018. I think it was, I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019, but she did that wet girl, or that woman coming out of the ocean for the camp theme. I really just cannot remember anything, but her makeup that night was incredible. So I decided to kind of use those elements of her makeup and what Mario does for her to try and create a Kim Kardashian inspired Matric farewell makeup look for you guys today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and follow me on social media. Let's get into this look.
Alrighty, so my eyes are already primed and set. We're going to move in with a bronzer. I'm using this Hoola Mini from Benefit, and on a 286 brush I'm going to use this as my transition shade for the overall look. I know for a fact bronzer was used in this look. I did a little bit of research as to what Mario used for her makeup, so I'm just going in with this bronzer. It's quite a cool tone shade of bronzer, so it's not going to be too over the top and too warm. Perfect transition shade for your crease. Next, I'm going in with the Ring the Alarm palette by Morphe and Jaclyn Hill. This is mine. It is a mess, so I'm not going to be showing it to you on camera because it is just, yeah, I broke it and it's disgusting now. But I am still using it, so for demonstration purposes today, I'm going to be using a picture. Anyway, the shade I'm going in with is Mugshot. And on a 286 brush, I'm going to be using the shade just to deepen up that bronzer a little bit, add a tiny bit of warmth but not too much. I really like the shade because it's that really nice caramelly desert shade, and it works perfect for a medium tone transition for this sort of look. I'm then going to switch over to a 217 brush by MAC, and I'm going to use Mugshot again to deepen and define the outer corner as well as the inner corner of the eye. So almost creating a halo shape, but not really. So just concentrate this in the outer corner on the lid as well as up into the crease area. Just buff that in and then go back in with your big fluffy blending brush just to smooth everything over and make it look super seamless. It's a really nice undertone of an eyeshadow, actually. If you look at it in the palette, it looks like baby poop, which is actually a really nice eyeshadow color in my opinion. But anyway, so now I'm doing the inner corner here. You don't need to take this too far into the center. If you do, it's not a train smash. We can easily fix it up with glitter, but just really try and concentrate it in the very inner and the very outer corners of your eyes using the smaller blending brush, and then diffuse and blend out everything with your big blending brush. The next eyeshadow I went in with in the palette is this dark brown, and this dark brown is called, it's called Secret. Sorry, I lost my mind there for a second. And I'm just using this really deep warm undertone brown to just add some defining depth and a little bit of a saturation in the outer corner and inner corners specifically. So we are going to go over that Mugshot a tiny bit, but we're going to keep this in a very precise motion or movement in the outer and inner corners. This is just to create that really nice depth and contour so that the eyes are a little bit more rounded rather than pulled up and feline, and that's essentially the trick to a halo eye. So again, just go in with your 217 or smaller blending brush and then diffuse and blend out everything with your larger blending brush so that we don't have specific blocks of color. Now, to create this wet look that Mario did for her this evening, apparently he went in with 3 to 4 different sizes of glitters and pigments on this evening. So I'm going to try and replicate the same thing, and that's how he got that really nice glossy wet look without actually using an eyeglass on Kim K's eyes. So the first pigment I went in with here is English Gilt by MAC. and I'm just packing that in the center with a JH41 brush. I absolutely hate seeing chunky glitter on a naked eye. I have to put a kind of eyeshadow or pigment down first so that it just fills in the gaps. Next, I'm going in with my chunkiest glitter, which is a liquid Dazzleshadow eyeshadow from MAC. This is Flash and Dash. And just off the applicator, I'm just going to push this into the center over top that English Gilt. Then for my medium-sized chunk of glitter, I'm going in with Cosmic by the JLo / Inglot makeup line. Again, just pushing this in to that Dazzleshadow. As you can already see here, the eye is already looking quite glossy, quite shiny, quite wet looking, which is obviously the effect we want. Then for my very fine glitter to finish off the glitter aspect of the eye, I'm going in with the Sir John Woolworths Cream Color Palette Volume 3, and I'm using the Pearl shade in the very center of the eye. And because it's a cream, I need to set that so it doesn't crease. So the fine pigment I'm using is Reflex Gold, Reflex Glitter by MAC. I know for a fact Mario used this glitter on her this evening. I don't know about the other glitters, to be honest, but I know for a fact to use Reflex Gold, and it's my favorite glitter ever. And just look how incredible this looks when you move your eyes around. The light just catches so perfectly in the center there that it really does look like your eyes are wet and glistening as if you had just come out the ocean yourself. And then whatever's left on that 217, I'm just going to push it to the sides of the halo just to blend out that glitter so we don't have like a solid block of glitter in the middle of the eye. I'm then going to go in with some black eyeliner. I'm taking Feline on a JH43 liner brush, and I'm just going to tight line this pencil in my lash line. I'm also going to create a very small extension of a wing. I went in with pencil rather than liquid just because Feline is super soft, super easy to blend out, and I did want to put in a little bit of a tiny bit of depth in the inner and outer corners of the eyes, and this black pencil is just so easy to smudge out. So I went in with this JH40, it's like a small blending brush, and I just used that to kind of soften and move the pencil around in the lash line, as well as just to smoke it out in that outer corner and a teensy bit in that inner corner, just to create further definition and depth. I am going to do lashes today, so I'm just going to curl them with my eyelash curler. You know the drill by now. And then the mascara I went in with today is my good old Fenty Full Frontal Mascara. I absolutely love this mascara, by the way. It's just an incredible formula with an even more incredible brush. The wand is everything, honestly. So I'm just going to brush that into the tops and bottoms of my lashes. The false lashes I went in with is the number 76s by MAC. I know for a fact that the style of lash that was put on Kim K this evening was fluffy and spiky at the same time, and these lashes replicate that in my opinion. Moving on to skin, I went in with a smoothing primer. This is the Insta Glam Primer by Isabella Garcia, and I just buffed that in with a 188 brush. So now I'm going to do some underpainting. It's going to look a little bit scary in the beginning, but like we always say, trust the process. Okay, so I'm going in with this Pro Conceal and Correct palette. This is in the shade Dark. So it has 6 shades here of warm undertones and cool undertones with 2 color correctors. I'm going in with the darkest shade here, which is an NW55 concealer, and I'm going to be sculpting my face with a 303 contour brush. Now again, I know it looks very scary. It is a warm color undertoned contour to be using, but trust yourself, okay? We are going to be doing scary contour like Mario always does on Kim K. So I'm just going to sculpt out my cheekbones, down the sides of my nose, and of course underneath my jawline because, well, let's just face it, I am an egg and I need angles. And then I'm also going to go into my forehead just to kind of round that out there. I'm using the 303 to apply the contour product first. Luckily, with it being such a sheer concealer, it's not too dramatic, but you can use whatever cream contour you prefer. Just kind of sculpt out your face like this. And then I'm going to use a damp beauty blender. This is a Real Techniques sponge, and I'm just going to use this to pretty much blend this out. It took a while, I'm not going to lie. This was the most cardio I've ever done in my makeup, but it came out pretty well in the end. And also this is going underneath your foundation, so even if you do make a mistake, it's okay, you can always cover it up with your foundation. So now for the highlighting aspect, I'm going in with my concealer. This is the Studio Fix Smoothwear Concealer in the shade NW24, and I'm just going to use this concealer to conceal underneath my eyes, obviously, and to highlight the other areas of my face that aren't contour, of course. And then I'm also just going to blend this out with my damp sponge and just get that in there. You'll see if you have kind of screwed up your contour, highlighting will always tend to fix it. So just take your time, be patient with yourself. It is a scary process. I haven't done this for a while, so I got a little bit nervous myself here. Anyway, so then for an additional more metallic underpainting highlighter, I went in with a cream color base by MAC. This is in the shade Hush, and I'm just pressing this into the high points on my cheeks and down my nose. This is just going to create a more elevated, defining highlight. You can just press it in with your finger or a tool, it's totally up to you. The foundation I went in with today is Hint Skin Tint. I went in with a skin tint specifically because it's very sheer, it's very lightweight, and of course with all the contour that we have going on, your face is going to feel pretty heavy by the end of the evening. So I decided to go in with a lightweight foundation just to kind of balance out the makeup products that I have going on my face. So you can do the same thing if you want, or if you want to go in with a full contour, full foundation rather, sorry, you can do that too. And then of course I just blended it out with a beauty sponge. Next, I'm just going to set my face lightly with some translucent powder. This one is by L'Oreal, and I'm just taking it on a 202 powder brush by Real Techniques, and I'm just lightly dusting it across the face. But I'm going to do some baking underneath my eye, and that's when I go in with my damp beauty sponge to achieve this. I do have this hack on my Instagram page if you are confused, but I'm literally just pushing the powder in underneath my eyes to create a smoother surface, as well as I'm just setting in the concealer because sometimes my concealer tends to move around. I am doing a beauty brow today, so I'm just going to take a spoolie and brush through my brows, and then I'm using my eyebrow pencil by MAC in the shade Stylized to create my defined fluffy brow. So I'm just filling in the tail or mid-length to tail of my brow underneath and on top, and then just obviously filling in the gaps. I do not fill in the front of my brow with a pencil. I find that can tend to make the brows look a little blocky and a little too heavy. So I try and avoid that altogether and just fill the tails in with a pencil. And then the next product I go in with is the Shape and Shade Brow Tint by MAC in the shade Fling. And I use the felt tip side to create kind of like the microblading effect in the front of my brows, but it's with a pen. And I just mimic brow hairs, and I just kind of fill in the front so that it looks fluffy and it gives the illusion of a fluffy brow, but it's not blocky and squared off and chiseled, or as chiseled as it would be if I were to use the pencil. Does that make sense? Always, as well, in between I go back and forth with the spoolie just to separate and blend in the pencil into the brow so that it's not too harsh. I then, of course, at the end of all of this, go in with some brow gel set. This is Beguile by MAC. I absolutely have to set my brows. I cannot do any brow, fluffy, defined, or otherwise, without setting my brows in place, because I find a brow gel just finishes off and polishes off your brow look, or brows, for the look more effectively than if you were to not set brows. I don't know, it's just a makeup thing. I have to set my brows, and that's okay. So now I'm just going to complete the under eye area of my eye for the makeup look. I'm not speaking English. I went in with a little bit of Mugshot on a 286 brush underneath the eye and just blended it out. You can pull this as far down as you want, it's totally up to you. I then went in with some more Mugshot, but on a 217 brush, and now I'm just defining the outer corner and inner corner, pretty much like we did before in the top lid, but now in the lash line. I am also going to take that small blending brush just to give a little bit more of a precise blend in the inner and outer corners of the eyes. I used a little bit of that Secret or that dark brown eyeshadow to do this. I'm also going to line the outer corner and inner corner of the lash line with that black pencil or the black eyeliner. with that liner brush. I do want to keep the center open as well, because again I want to put glitter in the middle so that we can continue with the halo effect of the makeup look. So after applying the pencil, I am going to just smudge it out or blend it out with the JH40 brush, which is that small blending brush. And be sure to blend this out rather than into the center, because the glitter will be quite hard to cover the black in this area because the lash line is quite small. So for the base, I went in with that Sir John Woolworth's cream color, and I'm just applying this in the center of the lash line, in my inner corner, as well as my brow bone. And then just to set that inner corner and make it look super beaming, I went in with a little bit of that cosmic glitter from Inglot and JLo. And as you can see here, it looks super intense. So to set the cream contour, I'm going in with a powder bronzer. Again, I'm just using that Hoola, but I'm using the brush that comes in the Hoola box to really chisel out and create that, not a harsh line, but that really defining line in the cheekbone. Of course, I am going to blend this out. I'm using a 168 angled contour brush to do this. So I'm just picking up some of that Hoola and I'm just buffing this over that sharp contour that I created with the Hoola brush. This is a really nice way to channel a bronzer into a contour and a bronzer technique. Obviously, as you can see, it all just depends on what brush you use. So I'm just setting all of the areas where I had that cream contour with the powder bronzer. I'm just going in with the sharp brush first, and then obviously softening and blending the rest out with the 168 brush. I did take the contour or the bronzer shade a little bit lower down my neck so I can hide that double chin that I have, as well as I took it behind my ear so that it didn't look too obvious that I was trying to angle out my jaw. Of course, obviously went into my forehead as well, and I also set the cream contour that was along my nose as well, just so that didn't move. But I switched over to a slightly smaller brush for that. I'm using a JH32 to soften and blend that out around the nose. If you use too big a brush around your nose, it tends to look a little messy. Okay, so once we have done that, moving on to blush, I'm going in with a cream, or a liquid blush rather. This is the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush Soft Pinch in the shade Happy. Such a beautiful pinky, warm, rosy shade. I'm just going to buff this in with a 109 contour brush by MAC. Super pigmented, super easy to blend out. It's honestly just the most incredible liquid blush I've ever used in my life. And obviously, of course, given all the drama we've been having, Team Selena all the way. I'm just going to set my face with some Catrice setting spray, and then my highlighter today is a combination of the Hyper Real Glow palette, all of them. I'm first starting off with the gold shade on this Buildable Cheek brush by Smashbox, and I'm using this as an overall glow on the cheeks. I'm then swapping over to a 402 setting brush by Real Techniques, and I'm just applying this kind of just underneath the eye, but on the really highest point of my cheekbone. And then of course I'm taking this down my nose and across my cupid's bow. This generally tends to create a very ombre effect highlighter, and it actually angles out the cheekbones even more. And then I used the smaller brushes just to highlight my brow bone. I used the Very Vanilla shade in the palette to do this. I also took some of that cream color from the Woolworths palette to add an even more metallic, wet looking like chunky glitter effect to the highlighter. Just made my skin look a little bit more wet and glossy and dewy. For lips today, I'm going in with a lip pencil by MAC called Edge to Edge. It's a really nice warm rosy pink, very similar to the blush that we used. Lipstick for today, I'm going in with a Powder Kiss liquid lip in the shade Mer the Merrier. Stunning pink shade. It's incredible. I absolutely love this pink shade, and that's a lot saying because I don't like the color pink. Anyway, here is the completed look. Thank you so much for watching today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and recreated for yourself. Here's a little zoom in moment for you. I should probably do this more often. What a good shot. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and follow me on all social media platforms. Don't forget to check out the rest of the tutorials that I have here on my channel for Matric dancers. and I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye!